So we're back.
Here we are again.
And we're TNB, and this time we're going to talk about reviewing our reviews
of Beatrice and Virgil by Yann Martel. So then we read it, as we said previously. And at first, when I read that first chapter, I thought, oh dear Lord. Because it seemed like a thinly veiled, fictionalized version of a Yann Martel lunch with his publishers. And I was not sure I wanted to continue to read the novel if that's what it was gonna, if that's what the rest of it was gonna be.
Yeah, see, I didn't mind that so much, although the bookseller being the jerk is, I was like, hey, wait a second, that's more likely to be the publisher. No offense, publishers.
Yeah, that's right, the historian slash bookseller, yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start.
So
I guess give you a little preview of the book. The book is
synopsis.
A synopsis, yes. Henry, the main character.
Yes, he's a writer.
Is a writer who writes a good book, gets all famous, has, I guess, writer's block, runs away to another city, whereupon he... Somebody's being paged. Whereupon he runs away to a big city with his wife, where they settle down, have a baby. He serves hot chocolate to...
He becomes a waiter, yeah, in a cafe.
Not just a cafe, a co-op kind of
yes,
cafe.
A co-op cafe.
And joins a play group.
An amateur players group that produce successful amateur plays in this city. It's New York, isn't it?
Well, who knows?
It feels like New York. That's what they say it.
I was thinking Paris.
No.
Oh,
I thought they said New York.
No, they don't. They don't name the city.
Oh,
it could be anywhere.
I forgot to talk about this.
I like it.
That part's
I think
cool.
It's awesome. The outside book cover, I think, is fantastic. Anyway, so he runs away.
Sorry, I'm just gonna
then
check
he
and
meets
see.
a taxidermist where...
No, then he gets sent this play in the mail. And he doesn't know who sent it to him, but there is this address and a name. Henry.
In the city that he's in.
In the city that he's in. So he tracks this person down. Who says his name is Henry.
Is it Henry?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Which is really
so
interesting.
what's
I don't
the
know.
main character's name?
Henry as well.
Oh, is it?
That's the whole thing. That's part of the weirdness of that.
God.
I know.
So it's just another layer I didn't get.
I know.
Maybe
this is what I'm
just
saying.
too dumb for it.
Well, anyway, we'll get to that. So then he gets the play. Then he meets the taxidermist, who he finds out is the writer of this play, and that this taxidermist needs his help to write the play. And at first, Henry's like, "Geez, I'm a famous writer. I don't need to help you with your play." But he gets kind of caught up in it.
Personally attracted almost
to the taxidermist shop, and then the taxidermist, even though the taxidermist is really grumpy old man,
rough kind of.
Yes, he's not.
And so Henry would walk his dog to the taxidermist, tie the dog up either outside or inside, and then come in and chat with the taxidermist,
and they talk about the play.
And so in the book, you're reading about Henry's life, meeting the author of the play, where they talk about the play, and he's also in another play. So there are a number of things going on. So,
sorry, I'm just looking for this thing.
There you go.
Sorry. Okay, never mind. Okay,
we'll just say a large metropolitan city that is not in Canada.
Yes, not in Canada. Because he talks about Canada being
where he is.
Where his wife is.
No.
From, or
yes,
something like
well,
that.
Where they're from.
Yeah.
Where they
had lived. Okay. Success of this book as a piece of literature. Let's talk about that. As a novel, I personally don't totally think it's successful because of the way he chose to write it. But as I say that, I realize, and as we've been talking about it for the past 45 minutes before we got
over
on
and over
air,
and over trying to figure out,
is that there's layers to this book that are not entirely decipherable. And maybe that's why I don't think it's entirely successful as a novel. Having said that, even though it's been touted as an allegory, I also don't think it's an allegory. I think the play within the novel is an allegory, but I'm not sure that that makes this novel an allegory.
Well, and the play is an allegory right up to the very ending, where then it
becomes
something else, which I won't give it away in case you're going to buy the book.
Yeah, there's that.
I would wait till you get the soft cover.
I don't know what to say anymore.
Well, I guess for me, some of the issues are, one, I appreciate the chance he took in trying to make it a bit more of a magical book.
Yes,
I appreciate
with
that
Beatrice
chance.
And Virgil.
For me, the difficulty was it never quite
gets realized in that context.
For in my reading of it,
yes,
and it. As he also within the book, he is learning how to play the clarinet.
Oh yeah, I forgot
and
about that.
He talks about how it's like an ox learning to fly. And there are moments where the ox lifts off the air into the air, and moments where it's just drudgery.
That's a good little.
I felt that way about the book in many ways. There are times when the book starts to lift me up. But there's just not enough of that for me to truly
actually be
invested in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I really loved parts of Beatrice and Virgil's conversation, and I found they were not so much the part about the pear and the banana, though. Although I did appreciate the description of the pear, I also felt like.
So Beatrice and Virgil are a
donkey and a howler monkey
who are discussing what a pear is. One has seen a pear, one hasn't, and so they're trying to describe it.
He's trying to describe it to his friend, and it's like a good description of a pear. But as you go into the description, and then you get to Henry and Henry, the taxidermist, talking to each other about why this is in there, because Henry, the writer, doesn't know why this. He's like confused by this, or he feigns confusion, and the taxidermist is like it's because they're starving, right? And he's like, come on, don't you see that they're starving? And that's when
it's like cookbook porn.
A little bit, yeah. It's like that. Those descriptions where you're like, yeah, that's exactly what a pear tastes like.
And you open up a cookbook and you read it and you read the recipe and you picture it, and then you have a bowl of cereal.
Yeah. And it's good enough in the description. Yeah.
It's part of it. And I think oh my goodness, I'm going to say this, and I hadn't even thought of it before.
Good.
I think that's part of where the imaginative elements of the book really appealed to me, in that. When you're starving, sometimes just the act of creating that memory is enough to make you, at least for a moment, feel joy.
Yes, and there's other parts of like that with Beatrice and Virgil where they realize that stuff, so they're trying to overcome their terrible life by.
Well, I wouldn't
bringing
say terrible.
Themselves out of
I guess terrible life is a good word, but I tend to think the word circumstances.
Circumstance.
Because
it's both. Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to rise above their situation, basically, by
or survive their situation.
Well, remember the part where they're like, they want to be the better people, like basically, they're trying to be. They don't want to give in to the terror of
what's going on around them.
So they're what's that joy part? Remember at the end they're they're trying to rise above it, so they're talking about how they're happy. They're just so happy
to have found each other.
So it's just by saying it and by feeling that joy, they can somehow rise above it.
Well, and by feeling that joy in the moment, you can overlook what's going on outside of that moment.